A rock icon who died a mysterious death, a battle over a vast sum of money, and a legacy that lasted much longer than anybody could have guessed. Keep watching for the dramatic story of Jim Morrison's fortune. The Doors frontman and lyricist Jim Morrison joined the infamous 27 Club in 1971, when he died at just 27 years old.
The death of another rock musician was disclosed today. Jim Morrison, 27 years old, lead singer of The Doors.
Often attributed to heart failure due to chronic alcoholism, Morrison's cause of death is still debated by fans around the world. British singer Marianne Faithfull once claimed that heroin may have been involved, but with no foul play suspected, an autopsy was never performed. For this reason, what really killed Jim Morrison may never be known. When Morrison died, the Florida-born rock star was well off for the time. Although his bank account balance may not seem like much by today's standards, he had only $400,000 to his name. In today's money, though, that equates to just shy of $3 million, which is no small amount. Shortly before he died, Morrison had left The Doors, whose fame had begun to fade. He moved to Paris to write poetry, but maintained a 25% stake in The Doors' music, as well as the rights to his own songwriting. With The Doors' legacy now stronger than ever, both of these have turned out to be worth quite a lot of money. For this reason, among others, Morrison's complicated estate, locked up in probate, remained unsettled for years. To make matters worse, Jim Morrison left few clues as to where he'd like his money and assets to go in his will, beyond his common-law wife, Pamela Corson, who Morrison called his cosmic mate. At the time of Jim Morrison's death, Corson received $400,000 in one lump sum, as well as Morrison's claim to Doors royalties and his own songwriting credits. Should she die, what remained, including Morrison's music-based assets, would then go to Morrison's sister and brother. That all seems simple enough. But when Corson did indeed die, some 3 years later, things began to get complicated. Corson and Morrison never married, nor did they have children. Corson also died with no will, and several women came forward to claim that Jim Morrison had fathered their children. Several of Morrison's ex-bandmates also claimed he owed them money. Clearly, many interested parties were after Morrison's fortune. On a technicality, though, what Morrison left to Pamela Corson reverted to her own parents when she died, whom he barely knew. Morrison's parents, who had been entirely left out of his will, did not take this lightly. They sued the Corsons to get a portion of what they felt they were rightly owed, claiming Morrison was not in his right mind when making his final arrangements. For their part, the Corsons settled. Lost in the dispute over Morrison's cash and the value of his songwriting credits is who would control his image and likeness, which in the 1970s few figured would ever be worth much. What's clear at this point, though, is that Morrison's image is one of the most valuable assets he left behind, adorning best-selling t-shirts, posters, and coffee mugs to this very day. In their settlement with the Morrisons, Pamela Corson's family kept exclusive rights to Morrison's image and likeness, while each party split the royalties. Perhaps the Corsons felt they got the short end of the deal, but Corson's father played a part in supporting the prevalence of Morrison's likeness in the years to come, so it's likely he knew the potential value of what he had on his hands. Clearly, $400,000 in cash would not last very long, even in the 1970s. Where the real value in Jim Morrison's estate lay then was in his own likeness and in the value of the Doors' music. The band's album and download sales are currently estimated to be worth a total of $3 million a year. Considering the Doors have now sold some 100 million records and counting, that number seems likely to grow even more as the years go by.